And welcome to America Talks Live. I'm Bill Tucker filling in for Steve Malzberg, who is off today for an extended weekend. We are taking your calls, just as a reminder, 877-NEWSMAX. That is 877-639-7629. So call in and join the conversation. We want to hear from you. And here are the people that you will be joining besides me on my political panel in the first block. Tom Borelli, PhD, contributor for the Conservative Review, and Jane Velez-Mitchell, founder of JaneUnchained.com, amen, and New York Times bestselling author. Jane, welcome. Tom, good to see you both.
Great.
I want to start, Jane, with you, because Hillary Clinton is back out on the campaign trail. She is full of life, full of vim, full of vigor, smiling, and boy, she probably needs it after taking a look at what's happening in the pollings. Do you think she can overcome, or has she lost some serious momentum in this race toward November?
Well, obviously her illness was bad timing for her, but I did think it gave her a chance for reflection, as she herself said, more clarity. And I have to say, I just think that the media has been so unfair with these sort of false equivalencies. I mean, Donald Trump is running around lying. I believe he is a pathological liar, and I've studied many criminals who are pathological liars. It's the pattern to a T. He says, and he terrifies 85,000 Ford workers by saying, Ford is going to fire all of you and move all the jobs to Mexico. So the head of the Ford Corporation has to get on TV and say, that's not true. Actually, we've increased the number of American jobs by 50% over the last 5 years. We just happen to be opening a factory in Mexico, and we're going to hire 2,800 Mexican workers. So these wild exaggerations, and the birther exaggeration was the biggest exaggeration of it all, which is what he used to start his sort of dog whistle politics campaign. The media is just not calling Donald Trump on his lies, and it's really unfair.
I love you, Jane. It's like JaneUnchained.com. I don't know how the hell anybody can chain you down, as a matter of fact. But, Tom, I have to ask you, she makes a reference to Trump being a pathological liar.
Yeah, right.
We know for a fact that the Democrats have a pathological liar and someone whose trustworthiness rating is actually below Donald Trump's. How don't you react to Jane?
Well, certainly. I mean, Hillary Clinton, she lies for a profession. She lies so much she has to lie about her lies. It's just incredible that Jane would lead calling Trump a liar. It's just amazing. But the American people are not foolish. They're up to this game. You know, there's been an amazing shift in the poll, in breadth, in depth, in momentum. It's not only the change, but it's the rate of change. You have states that were far out of line for Trump, like Colorado. He was minus down 10. Now he's close, almost even. In Michigan, it's close. In Pennsylvania, all of a sudden, her campaign, remember, she may be a liar, but she also used these terms, deplorable, to slam 25% of the United States population. She's a horrible candidate. She did a horrible job as Secretary of State. My God, what decision did she ever make? All she does is apologize. Well, I went into Iraq, but I shouldn't have voted for that. Oh, it was a mistake not to give more support to the people in Benghazi.
But before you, I'm going to interrupt both of you. Jane, before you start, because I want to go to something that you referenced. You talked about the birther movement. And Hillary Clinton, out on the campaign trail today, did make mention of it. In fact, we've got the soundbite where she talks about for 5 years he led the birther movement. Slot number 22, if you could. And I guess they can't.
For 5 years, he has led the birther movement to delegitimize our first black president. His campaign was founded on this outrageous lie. He is feeding into the worst impulses, the bigotry and bias that lurks in our country. Barack Obama was born in America, plain and simple, and Donald Trump owes him and the American people an apology.
Okay, and
for
before
5 years.
Oh, sorry. And before we go on, I do want to give Donald Trump a chance because he just spoke, and this is how he responded to Mrs. Clinton.
Hillary Clinton and her campaign of 2008 started the birther controversy. I finished it. You know what I mean. President Barack Obama was born in the United States, period. Now we all want to get back to making America strong and great again.
Okay, panel, can we take this off the table? As a reporter, I spent a lot of time on this story. I have some very strong, clear, definite opinions. Whether they agree with you all or not, I don't know. But Jane, did he just effectively take it off the table for you, or do you want to keep following
No,
it?
he should not be congratulated for finally admitting he's been lying and distorting and mischaracterizing and engaging in dog whistle politics for the last 5 years. He's the one who raised the question initially. Ooh, it's very suspicious.
No. We got to stop there. I will tell you this. She did, in fact, raise the question initially back in 2008. I know you know this, and Tom, I'm sure that you're aware of it as well. Tom, let's let Tom weigh in on this.
Well, the evidence shows there have been a number of news stories, I think even in the Washington Post, that the original birther issue was really launched by the Clinton campaign and people affiliated with the campaign. Look, the Clintons will do anything to get elected. They'll say anything to get elected. They'll lie anything to get elected. And they're the one who started, and Trump said it just ended. Now let's talk about the issues that are facing the American people. We need jobs. We need a lot of jobs in the United States. We need economic growth. We need lower taxes. This is what we need to be talking to because there's so many Americans that are harming economically. Let's focus on the issues. Every issue, let's have a side-by-side comparison and let the American people talk about it.
Well, Bill, I have to agree with your other guest because I think we should stop engaging in dog whistle politics. Donald Trump Jr. making a reference to,
nonsense.
The gas chambers.
That is nonsense.
And that is dog whistle politics. The Anti-Defamation League came out and demanded.
But the problem I have with that, if I can just jump in here and control it for 1 second, the problem I have with that reference are the fact that you're talking about dog whistle politics by Junior. You know, both of Trump's kids are married to people of the Jewish faith. This is like sort of bizarre for me.
What we're seeing is the left is desperate.
Excuse me, you can be prejudiced and you can be a bigot, and it doesn't matter who's surrounding you. Bigotry and a circle of hate will always expand. And there's a lot of people who supported Donald Trump thinking, well, he hasn't targeted my ethnic group or my racial group yet, so I'll stick with him. Guess what? He's going to get to you.
All right, Tom, you can react to Jane now.
Well, you know, it's interesting. The left is so panicked. Where was Hillary Clinton making this speech? I believe she was speaking in front of a black women's audience. They should have the black vote already in their pocket. The fact is, they don't. The fact is, she had to go there in front of a black audience and start dealing the race card. This is what's going on.
Jane, I know you're not. Jane, I want to interrupt you because I want to go somewhere else with this, and I know that you're not an insider on the Hillary campaign, but clearly you are a huge supporter of hers. Are you satisfied with what she's laid out? Let's go back to that issue that Tom raised in terms of talking about issues, because I do want to hear these candidates talk about issues. Do you think she needs to be more specific in terms of what she wants to do with taxes, with what she wants to do with getting people back to work? I know personally I'm dissatisfied with what I've heard because I haven't heard that much. But do you think she needs to talk more about it?
There's a Broadway play, I think it was called Promises, Promises. Donald Trump gets up there and makes these wild promises. We're going to increase, 25 billion jobs, whatever he says. He tosses numbers out of thin air. If you go to her website, you're going to see specific policy proposals. It's very easy to make promises that are based on absolute lies. We're going to build the wall. It's only going to cost X, Y, Z. We're going to get another country to pay for it. Ain't going to happen. That is a mischaracterization. So I would like to see a lot more detail from the Trump campaign. Also, then he says, I'm all about maternity leave now. Whereas in the past, he was quoted as saying, pregnancy is bad for business. And when they asked his daughter about it, she abruptly ended the interview and walked out. They can't handle the tough questions.
I'm looking forward. I am really looking forward to the debate between these two because, Tom, as a matter of fact, Trump has laid out a rather specific economic plan, hasn't he?
Absolutely. Look, cut the corporate tax rate, get that money back over here, give more incentive for economic growth. Too much money is parked in other countries because of the brutal tax rate. This is a big problem. Apple Computer, I think, has something like $20 billion out there somewhere, something in that order. Look, bring that back, cut the corporate tax rate, cut individual tax rates, help small business, get rid of the death tax. Energy policy just rocks. We're the world's resource of natural resources here. We have the most oil, coal, natural gas. He wants a pro-energy policy, open up those federal lands. develop that energy, high-paying jobs, end the war on coal,
You're
stop
talking
bankrupting
about
coal miners. It's going to rock. I
Let me
can't
hear you
wait.
about what he said about it. He said he was going to go into Iraq and take the oil.
Right.
And the experts went on and
Right.
said it would cost more to secure that oil.
I'm
secure
talking
the
about
oil
domestic
field.
energy policy. And
I'm
Hillary
but
wants to
making
put
point
a
about
solar
how
panel on every
irrational
roof. That is a
policies are.
joke.
It would cost, you could buy oil from Canada a lot cheaper than to take the oil from Iraq with all the logistics
And,
that would
and
involve.
putting a
that's
solar
exhibit
panel
A of
on every
how
roof is the way to go.
proposals are.
Right. What do you do when it's cloudy, Jane? how do you run your electricity in your house?
Well, it so happens that I write for Forbes.com. I haven't written as much lately because I've been busy with other projects, but my area that I write about is energy, and I do want to talk a whole lot more about that in the next block. But the truth is, the problem that Barack and the Democrats, I think, have, Jane, is that our two main sources of electrical generation are natural gas, coal. The third is hydroelectric and nuclear. Renewables are way, way down that list. And I'm not opposed, either one of you, to the idea of it being a renewable source of energy. It's just the logistics that are involved in that are so profound that it is staggering in terms of the obstacles that have to be overcome. We're America. We can't overcome it. If we put our mind to it, we can put people on the moon, we can go into space, and there's lots to talk about in that area. In fact, we'll start there when we come back, because this is an area that I think we ought to talk a lot about, because we need energy. We need to be leaders in energy as far as I'm concerned. And it's a perfect role for us to assume. We'll be back, and we'll be back with the panel. We do want to hear from you. Don't forget, you can call in 877 Newsmax. Give us a call. Get in this conversation if you want to. Tom Borelli, Jane Velez-Mitchell are here. They're not going anywhere, and Jane is not chained. We'll be right back. And welcome back to America Talks Live. I'm Bill Tucker, filling in for Steve today. Before we start round two of our political panel, I want to remind you, you could be part of this fun, and it is a good time. Give us a call, 877-NEWSMAX. That is 877-639-7629. All right, let's welcome back our panel. Tom Borelli, Conservative Review, and Jane Velez-Mitchell, founder of JaneUnchained.com and a New York Times bestselling author. Let's go back to this issue of renewables, because I'm very passionate when we get to the topic of energy. Jane, the problem here is, I think, for the Democrats, which is why I'll start with you first, is there are structural realities that stand in the way of doing what President Obama has wanted to do and what Mrs. Clinton suggests she wants to do. You can't just put a windmill and a solar panel on the roofs of people's homes. Wouldn't it serve the Democrats better to say, this is where we want to go? We're not there, but this is where we want to take us? Because it sounds like, when you talk about pie in the sky, it really sounds like the Democrats are serving up a big, nice, attractive piece of pie in the sky.
Well, with all due respect, Bill, I think one of the first things we have to do is acknowledge that climate change is not a hoax. And Donald Trump has said climate change is a hoax. So we have to actually get in touch with reality and truth. 98% of scientists have concluded that climate change, man-made global warming, is real, and it's having an impact. So that has to be part of the equation. And we have to be forward thinking. If I think back on why we've had an energy crisis throughout the years, it's because we killed the electric car. Remember, we could have all been driving electric cars, but General Motors actually took the car back and destroyed it because they didn't want to have to go through the trouble of being forward thinking.
Jane,
No.
it was a marketplace failure. Nobody wanted it.
They took those cars back and they destroyed them because they didn't want to have to
they were lousy
their
vehicles.
assembly lines.
A company doesn't destroy a product
if
it makes money.
Ever.
Yeah, no, that product was a piece of crap, as they call it in technical terms. What you have now, when you look at Tesla and a couple other companies that are out there, you now have a really attractive electric vehicle that people do, in fact, want to buy. But what gets lost in this equation when we talk about gas versus electric vehicles, you have to remember it takes energy, it takes a process to build them. And when you factor in everything that it takes to make an electric car and then generate electricity to power that car, there's an even in terms of a green footprint, not in terms of emissions, but in terms of a green footprint in the process. When you talk about reality and truth, Tom, I'm going to direct this question to you. Yeah, climate change is real because global change is real. This world's been changed. All you have to do is watch a nova and understand that this world is in a process of change. This is not a static universe that we live in. But you can also look at a number of different reports that say no matter what we do, we are not going to hit the goals that have been laid out in the Paris Accords. And even if we don't, we shouldn't be that concerned because, well, the rate of climate change is projected, for example, by Al Gore in his report, is not happening in that same speed. Tom, I know Jane is aching to get in here, but let me give you the first word on it.
Well, first of all, I believe over 90% of the climate models have been wrong in terms of predicting catastrophic global warming. As a scientist, I'm trained as a scientist, PhD biochemistry. You would get thrown out of the lab if you tried to push through with your thesis, and 90% of the time it was wrong. That's a fact. Now, when it comes to electricity, I mean, Jane loves electric cars, that's fine. They're way too subsidized, but you have to ask the question, where's the electricity coming from? It's coming from coal, it's coming from natural gas, it's coming from nuclear. So like it or not, our world runs on fossil fuels. Eventually we can get to other technologies when they're ready. We cannot run our economy on windmills and solar panels. It's just not there. And with respect to Ford, I mean, yeah, they just moved people to Mexico. If you're ahead of a multinational, if you're ahead,
no, they didn't. That is just a lie.
Would you rather have Americans building small cars or Mexicans? Let me just ask that question.
Let me tell you something. This is another part of the dog whistle politics.
Yeah.
You know,
and you're good at blowing that whistle, Jane. Let me tell you, you're good about right.
He's not attacking himself for building in Ireland. Are you suggesting that Ford should not be a global corporation at all?
They should, but we should make sure we have the lowest energy prices.
Holding back technology, and it's a demonization of the Mexican economy.
No,
on the one hand, you attack.
Oh wait, stop! No, stop!
I'm a
I'm going to
racist.
jump in here right now because we can do whatever we want. We can say whatever we want. You can have whatever opinion you want.
What?
But Jane, stop just for a second. Stop! Mexico's one of the most corrupt places on the face of the earth. There is no reason why that country shouldn't be one of the richest. There is no reason why those people shouldn't be having and enjoying a high quality of living, and they don't because it's an utterly corrupt place. Right. So the reason that Ford wants to build there is it's a low-cost model. Right. That's the reason that Ford wants to be there. And under and after they can, Jane, we let them bring it in without any tariff.
What about Donald Trump's ties made in China, his suits made in China?
That's a big economic builder, man, I tell you. I wonder what the tie consumption is for GDP. Right.
That's hypocrisy. We got to
No, it's not hypocrisy. There's a difference when a man is a businessman and when a man's going to shift to be a president. Totally different models. Totally different. Unlike Hillary Clinton's been corrupt her whole life. Her whole life.
He outright lied and scared the wits out of 85,000 Ford workers, telling them that their jobs were going away, and the president of Ford had to get on television and say,
I want to say one thing on the Ford issue. I like that. Well, work for me if I do that as well, Jane. Here's what, look, I have zero problems with corporate heads being called and made accountable. I have no problem with Ford coming out and being forced, in essence, to make a statement, no, we are not firing anybody in America. We're going to build down there. I think corporate America has gotten away with an awful lot of stuff under a number of different presidents, Republican and Democratic. I don't think that is a partisan issue whatsoever.
It's all about the incentive. When you have high tax rates, corporations going to move overseas. When you have high energy prices, corporations going to move overseas. When you have high labor costs, companies going to move overseas. We're in a global marketplace. We need to rethink the way we do things.
Okay, trickle-down economics doesn't work.
Trickle-down government is horrible.
Rich people, no matter how rich they are, only need so many pillows. So if you give all the money to the rich people, they can still only buy
Jane,
4 pillows.
if I came to your house, Jane, stop. If I came to your house and said, Jane, I think you have too many pillows in your house, are you going to listen to me come to your house and say, I think you have too many cans of soup? Right. I don't like your choices in terms of your food. Well, I'm going to tell you what to do. No. Nobody here wants somebody to come in from the government and say, oh, you have too many pillows here, Jane. I think we need to take a couple away from you. I'm using it as metaphorically, obviously, but nobody wants that. That's not an approach that we can take.
Why it doesn't work.
Well,
I'm using an example of why trickle-down economics doesn't work, because rich people can only
it's
spend
not
so much.
trickle-down economics. I will tell you this: it's not trickle-down economics when you look at tax rates, when you look at costs. It's not.
I'll tell you what doesn't work is crony capitalism, and Hillary Clinton is the queen of crony capitalism. She wants to pump more money into the Department of Energy so then they can give grants to publicly traded corporations. Last December, General Electric, a multi-billion-dollar corporation, got a $3 million or $4 million grant, taxpayer money, to do something with the electric grid. My God, why can't they use their own money? Hillary Clinton wants more of that. Then she'll get more donations from big corporate America. Goldman Sachs, $675,000 for 3 speeches. That's a pretty good deal.
You're insulting the American economy. You know, I travel a lot. The American economy is doing very well.
The American economy is not doing very well. No, stop it. That's crap. That is total crap. I'm not going to let Tom sit here and say that, or you say that. The American economy is not doing well.
Maybe we should all move to Russia. That's where Donald Trump
That's the craziest response I've ever heard.
We've heard the pillow card, the Russian card, the race card today. What else you got, Jane?
No, this is crazy.
Let's go to Vegas.
Hey, Jane, I want to get your answer. I want to get your reaction to something else totally different. I'm going to go somewhere totally different. Financial Times a couple of days ago reported that we, the American people, you, me, Tom, have given Mexico somewhere in the order of $58 million. They're going to take that $58 million. You know what they're going to do with it? They're going to build a wall on their southern border. So in a weird twist of political irony, America is paying for Mexico to build its wall on its southern border. Give me a quick 20 or 30 seconds reaction on that, Jane.
Look, economists have looked at this whole wall idea, and they've said it's going to cost so much money, it would be an environmental catastrophe, because there's got to be movement of animals and water and all sorts of things between the two countries, and it's illogical. They can build tunnels under, they can climb over. It's a joke. It's a cartoon. This man is offering cartoon solutions to really serious problems.
I gotta go. I have to go. I really have to go, and it's unfortunate. No, this is the thing that makes me laugh. We're paying for Mexico to build its southern wall. I love you, Jane. Thank you so much. You're the best, really and truly. Tom, thank you so much. Thanks. When we come back, we're going to have former Libertarian vice presidential nominee and best-selling author Wayne Allen Root, and he joins us next. Don't go away. Guys, thank you so much.